Hello, the internet. My name's Laura, and this is The Law of the Prince Charming, Chapter 2.1. As the castle falls farther into the distance, Tabitha finds her excitement waning. She had imagined this moment in her daydreams many times, rushing off on a quest to rescue a fair princess from a villain on her gallant steed. Her bravery and fortitude tested before she returns home triumphant, just like the hero in her favorite fairy tale. Instead, she is really just chasing a thief who stole an artifact she didn't know about until the day before. Part of Tabitha is happy with the simple justice of retrieving her sword from the wizard, but the queen's words hang in the air in front of her. If you fail, don't bother to return. It's difficult to stay excited in the face of that. The gelding trots smoothly down the road. He has been a near-constant companion for her over the years, and she's glad for his silent company. However, he's not as young as he used to be, so despite the urgency in following the wizard, she frequently brings him back to walk to allow him to rest. Tabitha prays to the Fae, asking for luck on her quest, and that they might watch over her. The queen had never allowed any mention of the Fae, though Tabitha never knew exactly why. She has always liked the idea that someone is out there watching over her, and that they might help her along the way. However, instead of the Fae, she simply has me. Tabitha notices abruptly that the trees around her are free of their scarlet plumage. She signals the gelding to stop and looks behind her, but the trees there are similarly naked beneath the sudden onset of heavy gray clouds. The dirt of the road no longer holds the sienna color of home. There's no way I traveled far enough to leave Redstone. Yet it is abundantly clear that she is in a different kingdom from her own. For a moment she wonders whether she should turn around. Her mother's words echo in her mind, and she urges the gelding forward into a trot. As she comes around the next bend in the forest path, she spies a wagon alongside the road. The wizard's blonde hair shines like a beacon beside it. Tabitha wastes little time with being surprised. "You!" Tabitha vaults from the gelding's back and runs toward the wizard, pulling her sword from its sheath as she goes. He turns, and she sees his frown a moment before a figure dressed entirely in black moves between them. "Get out of the way." She pulls on her royal presence to support the order. "No," the man in black replies, seemingly unaffected. "But maybe we—" Tabitha sidesteps, but the figure shifts only a moment later to remain in front of her. "We should start with," he continues. "You will move." Tabitha swings her sword with the intent of forcing the man in black to retreat. Instead, he steps closer and lifts his arm into the path of her blade. Tabitha feels a moment of dread before her sword bites into the man in black's forearm. She tries to pull the sword away, but is stuck fast in the rough bark-like surface just below a pink scarf tied to his upper arm. The man in black yanks his arm back, freeing the sword from Tabitha's surprised grip. He loosens the sword in his arm and then tosses it unceremoniously behind him. As Tabitha watches, the man in black grows a head taller, his muscles bulging beneath the studded leather vest. He reaches forward and lifts her easily into the air by her collar. Tabitha dangles for a moment before grabbing his arm. The protective armor is no longer there, only his skin. He's using magic. Tabitha has fought plenty of mythics, and the idea of a little magic does not intimidate her, not when she's so close to her goal. "What do you want?" The man in black's face is a cool bronze, crisscrossed by scars, and his nose is misshapen, as if it has been broken before and healed askew. "I will have my sword back," Tabitha replies, twisting her grip so she could slam her palm into the man in black's crooked nose. He drops her immediately and clutches his nose as he shrinks back to normal size. Tabitha regains her feet and immediately runs around him toward her sword. The man in black glares at her as fire bursts from between his fingers. He removes his hand to reveal dried blood beneath his nose. "You," the man in black cracks his knuckles as he turns, "are going to pay for that." All at once his expression darkens as his muscles bulge again. Tabitha snatches up her sword as he charges, moving surprisingly quickly for someone of his increasing girth. "Hold on now," the wizard says. The man in black's hands scrape against Tabitha's armor. She twists around to keep him from grabbing hold and brings her sword up into an underhand blow that cuts into his arm. This time blood sprays from the wound, and the man in black yells in frustration. Tabitha lifts her sword to the man's neck, and he hesitates. "Now yield." The man in black's eyes narrow, and he suddenly shrinks away from the blade and sprints under it toward her. Tabitha can't defend quickly enough as he grabs her by the throat, shoving her back off balance. They both crash to the ground, and the man in black hurls his other fist toward her. "Gabir, stop!" the wizard commands. Tabitha feels the weight of the true name pulse through the air, and the man in the black stops, his fist mere inches from her face. Why? The man in black is still glaring at Tabitha with a dangerous glint in his eye. He is breathing heavily, blood dripping from his fist, but it stays where it is. You know perfectly well why, the wizard responds. His voice sounds more annoyed than anything else. Now are you calm? The man in black huffs. Enough. The pressure in the air releases gently, and the man in black pulls back from Tabitha and straightens. Tabitha regains her feet as well, putting more distance between herself and the man in black. She holds her sword ready as she faces the two men. Who is he? The man in black asks. This is the Prince of Redstone, the wizard replies. How'd he catch up? Not sure. I will have the sword you took from me back now, Tabitha says. The wizard links his fingers in front of him. How did you follow me? A guard saw you leaving the city, Tabitha replies. Someone saw you? The man in black asks. Must have, somehow. The wizard looks Tabitha up and down. I can't give you the sword back. I need it. And I need it to complete my quest. The man in black frowns. Quest. Tabitha grimaces. She had not meant to use that word. I'm not leaving without it. Okay, the wizard said. If it's your quest, then how about a test? If you can find the sword, you can have it back. Tabitha eyes him warily. Did you make it invisible? No. Tabitha looks him over, but he doesn't seem to have a place to hide it on his person. Neither does the man in black. She looks past them to the wagon hitched to a rather fuzzy donkey. It's in that wagon, then? Yes, the man in black scoffs. Tabitha glances at him before replying, You're lying. I don't lie, the wizard says, though most tests do have a trick, if you would, Black. The man in black unhooks the donkey from its harness and leads it away. As he does, the wagon disappears. In its place is a castle that appears as if it's always stood in the middle of the forest, menacing among the skeletal trees. The charcoal stone of its walls only adds to the gloom as it casts them in its shadow. Tabitha can only gape for a moment, having trouble accepting the sudden change. Her mother did not use magic often, and certainly not for anything this obvious. You have the sword hidden in there? Her voice is not as strong as she would have liked. Yes, the wizard says. And if I find it, you'll let me have it without a fight, she continues, stepping back into her confidence. Yes, I accept. The castle doors open easily at her touch, and she enters the magical castle without hesitation. The doors thud shut behind her.